Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this March 7th regular meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Frierson?
Here.
Commissioner Holmes? Here. Mayor McKinney?
Here. Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Brimner, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner McDowell,
Yes.
would you lead us?
Pastor Chance Bringman was supposed to be here to pray tonight, but I'd be happy to fill in.
Chance the rapper?
Yeah, Chance the Rapper Bringman. Yeah.
We're special.
Right. So let's pray.
All right.
Father, I want to thank you for bringing us here together. Thank you for giving us life and health and the strength we need to serve you. We pray, Lord, for your guidance tonight. We ask that you would, as we deliberate matters that are important to this city, that you would help us and give us wisdom. And thankful that we live in such a beautiful place. And we ask that you would protect us and keep us safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 All right. Item number 4, are there any agenda changes from any of the commissioners? If not, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Frierson,
Second?
second by McDowell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 5, we have a special presentation from Sharon Durling tonight on Solstice Power Technology. Sharon, would you approach the podium, please?
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mayor, and Commissioners. I'm Sharon Durling with the company Illinois Aggregation Consultants, and we're partnering with Solstice Energies. It's probably a new name, Solstice, seasonal, but it starts back in September of 2021 when Governor Pritzker signed into law CEJA, and you might be familiar with the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. It's a long, complicated act, so it's taking a long time for things to roll out, but what this act, one of the many things it enables is Illinois Solar for All. Illinois Solar for All is a specific program to enable certain income qualified residents to receive up to 50% savings off their power. Again, this is a state managed program. And what this also does is help to develop solar projects. They call them solar farms because I just talked to a guest here. Sounds pretty, I guess you could call it a solar generation facility. Some folks call it solar garden. But a solar array, you may have seen them when you've gone down expressways, built out in a field or sometimes the roof of an industrial area. There's one actually in Chicago Heights, Illinois for this program. The act is to try to compel folks to engage in supporting solar energy, and by doing so they save up to 50%. So it's twofold, renewable and saving up to 50% for certain, again, income qualified residents. So what's community solar? First thing is you don't install any solar panels on your own roof. There's 0 fees to enroll or join. So you could live in a basement apartment with little natural light and still enroll in this solar farm. So these generation facilities, like your former nuclear plant, they feed electrons into the grid, and then residents all around Chicago, or not Chicago, common territory, pull their electrons from the grid. You can't say, was this electron from coal or nuclear or the solar farm, but once it's all poured in, then you draw out for your home. So when you subscribe to this program, then residents will save up to 50% on their power bill. So you can be a renter, you don't have to own a home. Again, I just like to reiterate, no panels, no solar panel purchases, you don't do anything yourself. It's just subscribing to this program. Right now, ratepayers would receive 2 bills, but ComEd has informed us Two bills are a little more complicated. We like to get one bill. ComEd has informed us they're working on a dual billing, so a few months down the road, there will just be one ComEd bill. But right now, it's a little complicated. A resident would get their ComEd bill. Let's say their supply was $50, there'd be a full $50 credit on a ComEd bill. And then they would get from Solstice, the company that Mayor mentioned, Solstice Technologies, that bill would say $50, but you get a $25 credit, 50%, so you would pay Solstice $25. Don't mean to get too far into the weeds, because if you're not enrolling, you don't need to know, but that's the baseline. The idea is that Solstice is partnering with different communities. Zion isn't the only city, to be able to set up this program to help inform your residents. Otherwise, folks don't know about this, and if something comes from City Hall, again, it's signed by Governor Pritzker, it's overseen by the Illinois Commerce Commission. If it's something that you can present to some of your lower income qualified residents, benefit to them. There's a little benefit to the city as well, besides offering good services and putting a little money back in the pockets of the ratepayer, so to speak, is for every ratepayer that would sign up, there would be a $50 credit, a civic contribution, we'll call it, to the city. And to help induce reticent ratepayers to enroll in the program, they get a $50, I guess it's a Visa gift card. Just further compulsion to kind of get the program running. So right now, Solstice is working with different communities. They would like to engage with Zion. Would you sign, it's about a 2-page agreement, memorandum of understanding, then they would do a mailing to some of your residents, maybe put some information in water bill, or maybe host some events in the city to help some of the lower income residents. When I say low income residents, these are people in certain census tracts. If you're on LIHEAP or SNAP, you're probably eligible. A lot of Zion is within these certain census tracts that seem to fit the demographics. And you don't need to know this granular of detail, but I think in the report I gave you, for example, one person household, if they're making $58,350 or less, they qualify. So there's some numbers that qualify. I think that's it. I'm here to respond to any questions, but that's kind of the short of it. We go into further detail, but maybe this has provoked a few questions. Happy to talk to you and respond, Mayor.
Absolutely. I was asking, one of the questions I had was, how will the information be disseminated? I know it will come from you, but when you start talking about LIHEAPs and SNAP program, will this information be generated to the township offices too, that in our schools, who typically understand who the income qualified residents might be?
Well, there's no plan on that, but if there's some ideas of how we could reach out to those communities, would like maybe a mailing list, or if you have suggestions on how we can reach the right folks, would like to hear from that. And again, this company Solstice would pay for, a mailing and printing, so it would be, requiring cities' monies.
Okay.
I had a question. What is the nearest solar farms, or are those still going up?
Well, this particular one that they're working on right now is near Chicago Heights. So I was in Lansing a few weeks ago, and one of the trustees actually asked, was it the one I saw? And I don't know exactly where it is, but it's visible along an expressway. But as long as, the Commissioner, they're in ComEd territory, and that's a vast, location. If it were built in ComEd territory, then you'd be eligible for folks in Zion, because we all draw from the same grid that's really massive, as you know.
Okay.
Would ComEd need land in order to build these solar farms?
They do not. ComEd only does, manages the networking stations and delivery and wiring. And they are no longer involved as of 2007 in generation. So this would be a generation facility. Remember, they split off from Exelon for own the nuclear. So it doesn't really impact ComEd. They're supportive of it. In fact, they're working to make the billing easier into one bill. Everybody wants two bills, but they're trying to make it simpler.
Okay.
I had another question. So with the goal of trying to get people to support, solar energy, why the stipulation for low income?
That's the law that Governor Pritzker signed, and whatever folks working on policies, probably in Springfield, came up with that, and I can't say what it is, but it's sort of dual purpose, as you can see. How do we help lower income folks pay, high electric bills, and how can we induce or grow solar technologies? And that was their plan, to say, well, here's sort of a double-pronged approach.
Gotcha.
Is there a break even in terms of how many ratepayers you need to make it viable?
It's a small number now, just about 2,000, and they're pushing to get them all enrolled by July. I don't know if they'll move that quickly, but if that's subscribed, say it's fully subscribed and your neighbor signs up, and if it's the subscription, they call it, is full, there's a wait list, so people move away, close their accounts, or if there are enough subscribers, then that would help developers to have the monies to build more. So depending on demand, there might be more supply built.
Yeah, so you're asking for an ordinance that, or some kind of partnership or relationship with the
Yeah,
city?
Solstice, you'd sign a MOU with Solstice, just that you were going to partner with them.
And if we don't meet that 2,000 threshold?
There's no, I didn't answer your question, I think, as you presented. There's no threshold for Zion. There's no minimum.
Okay.
They just want to help you to help them to bring in subscribers.
Okay.
And those qualified income residents, would that include, as I'm looking at it and talking to a lot of our seniors in the community, being able to disseminate that information to those people that are on fixed incomes, that are concerned about these additional costs or the cost of rising rates?
And they are rising, Mayor. We'd like perhaps some, if you have some suggestions, remind the commissioners, a seniors luncheon or some event at which we or Solstice people can come and talk about it, introduce it. And then, word of mouth after that, because people talk.
What's the timetable?
Well, they'd like to move forward with the MOU, and then just, I guess, sort of quickly, I have specific timetables, but they'd like to have the subscriptions by July. I don't think it will happen that quickly. And there are other communities too. So, then they would hope that subscriptions would be filled in July, there'd be further development in September, and the power would probably start rolling in December. These things take time.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious. So there are a number of residents that already have a relationship with other solar companies that install solar panels on their property. So they're getting some type of benefit from that. Are they eligible for this program or not?
They would be. I don't think they would want to, because if they have solar panels on their roof, they're doing some generating of their own,
Yeah,
and
right.
then net metering, selling the overage to ComEd, so
Yeah.
it would be ill-advised.
Okay.
Also, I just wanted to clarify that this does not in any way, this is totally separate from the city's electrical aggregation program
It is.
that we currently have.
It is, and by the way, just a little shout out about that, if I may.
I was going to ask you.
Your current rate is, I should have it off the top of my head, but I don't. I have it written.
I was going to ask you that. What's our current rate, and what have we saved by being our residents by being involved?
Yeah.
Your current rate is 6.179 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
And this is not a typo or error on my part. The ComEd rate today is 10.091 cents per kilowatt hour. Congratulations. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There are only 5 other communities that I know of close to this in all of ComEd
Can you
territory.
say that again to the camera, please? We just have residents that, think we're trying to scam them by
I
offering
understand.
aggregation.
I understand.
And they just don't get it. And
I get that, but it's been around 11 years, and so far it's been so good, I really don't want to look at the camera. But you've done really well. Is it that you're smarter or better? I talked to Mayor about, we'd like to say, lucky and smart. Well, honestly, there's a certain profile that Zion has that's just very attractive to suppliers. In fact, I was talking to somebody, your supplier today, Dynegy Energy.
Yep.
They really appreciate working with the city, and you have a profile where they're able to serve at a really low cost, and it's just been great. I don't have exact numbers on average savings per person, but the numbers are high, and may I send them to you this week? You could.
Absolutely.
Next.
I know you had sent me something, I want to say several months ago, but it
Yes.
would be nice to have that updated information, because I think it was a significant amount of money that our residents have saved over several years.
It's amazing, and I've worked with the city since 2012, back when Diane Burkemper was clerk, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity, because it's super exciting to help make this possible. And I know people would mistrust, this sounds like too good to be true, but over time, they talk to their neighbors and it's working out. I think there's a increasing confidence, it seems like.
Any other questions?
I guess sticking with the aggregation program, so for the opt-in programs, is there also an opt-out? And then additionally, this program says it lasts for 20 years, so I just wonder what's the renewal schedule?
Yeah,
For rates.
well, for this program, actually, you could leave at any time. So if you enroll, you're right, the solar panel should plan to last for 20 years. It'll be with the choice. You could leave at any time you want. There's no early termination fee. If your neighbors enroll that pass away or they move away, you're just out. And then we've got other people waiting in queue to get that. As for the aggregation, it's separate and distinct, but they're not mutually exclusive. And that's an opt-out program, and majority of people don't opt out.
Yep.
But the best thing is it's customer choice. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Sharon, thank you so much, and we look forward to getting that additional information so we can review it.
My pleasure.
Thank
All right.
Thank you.
Item number 6, citizens' comments. Mary Lou Hildebrand.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I had to hurry up and get the report ready this time, so I couldn't get to the next meeting. During the month of February, your ESTA volunteers donated 101 hours of service for a value of $3,025 to the city. We performed the monthly siren test and assisted the fire department with 4 fires. We assisted the Park District with traffic for the safety of their workers as they repaired banners on 173 and at SheridanRoad. We did set up for the monthly food pantry at New Tech and control traffic for that event. We were fortunate to have a new member attached to the unit, and time was spent in orientation and training for him. We had a monthly meeting and performed tasks to maintain our equipment and the ESDA Center. We are always open to new members, so if you would like to have a positive impact on our community, go to the city website and fill out an application. Thank you for your continued support.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mary Lou. All right. Melissa Siegel.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melissa Siegel. Today is the 8th month of my son's murder on the street, in the alley, right by the park, between Gideon and Gabriel. Happened at the park, shot in the alley, came running home, hit in his chest, called 911, had a conversation with him. Last time I got to speak with him, held his hand while he died. I'm continued to be harassed on the internet by, community people. And nobody's gonna understand unless you're in my shoes. I said that before, but really you don't understand. You don't understand. And you won't until it happens to you, and I pray that it doesn't happen to your family. Because, in a blink of an eye, it can all change. So, to talk about my neighbors, I see them at major events in the neighborhood. All the shootings, the accidents. Last year, since September 8th, I know that there were 6 shootings within the 2-mile radius of my home. And we got together all the time. There was a big accident with the truck on 29th. got together for that too. Movement has definitely changed though. People are scared. People are scared to be in Zion. And it's sad when your home is supposed to be your safe place. Live a normal life. How? How can my family live a normal life in Zion? How? You know, I could go back and forth with you guys of the things that were said to me at the last meeting, but I'm a bigger person. I've always taught my kids to take the higher road. I taught my son Diego to be a man of his word and follow through with what he said. And he did. He followed through. So I'm here to speak about facts. You know, what has happened to me in the city of Zion. There's a post that Eric Reinhardt made yesterday. Nothing is more important than the safety of our children. That's how it started off. At the last meeting, which was February 7th, the last meeting that I attended, I didn't know there was attempted child abduction close to my house. My kids, fun fact, I have 4 children under the age of 12 in my residence that do not go to Zion schools. And they will never, as far as I'm here. You know, and I know my time is up. Once again, what are we going to do? How are we going to protect the kids in Zion? Streets are already picking up. When is somebody going to get the guy in the alley with the blue gloves that I've called about? Who keeps on taking them off and my daughter just saw him again? I don't know. I don't know. It's not going to, nothing's going to happen until it happens with you. You know? I also had an idea. I wanted to read another post, but I don't have time. But how's about the city buy my house? So my family can be safe. Because on the internet today, my daughter's next and then I'm next. That's what was said. How do I protect my family? Please, please tell me how I protect my family. I'm not here to be a disruption. And I don't get scared easily. It's okay if you call, you know, I don't see them tonight, but if you call back up, it doesn't scare me. I'm not here to be a disruption. I'm here to help figure it out. And nobody's listening though. Until it happens to your family. And I will continue to come. You will continue to see my face. Because I'm still doing it for Diego.
Thank you. Item number 7, consent agenda.
Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on February 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. and approval but not release of closed session minutes of a meeting held on February 21st, 2023 at 7:47 p.m.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by McDowell,
Second.
second by Holmes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0.
Bills, vouchers 142596 through 142801, drawn on Huntington National Bank. Total $449,995.10.
Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll move to approve the bills.
Second.
Motion by Fisher, second by McDowell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item number C, there's a proclamation of Veterans Day proclamation for March 29th, 2023. Whereas we observe the anniversary of the Vietnam War, we reflect with solemn reverence upon the valor of a generation that served with honor. And whereas we pay tribute to the more than 3 million servicemen and women who left their families to serve bravely, a world away from everything they knew and everyone they loved. And whereas we honor all who served on active duty in the United States Army Armed Forces, and their families at any time during the period of November 1st, 1955 through May 15, 1975, regardless of duty location. Whereas we draw inspiration from the heroes who suffered unspeakably as prisoners of war, yet who returned home with their heads held high. We pledge to keep the faith with those who were wounded and still carry the scars of war, seen and unseen. And whereas it is important to honor the men and women who survived the Vietnam War, as well as the 58,220 men and women who gave their lives. And whereas while no words will ever be fully worthy of their service, nor any honor truly befitting their sacrifices, let us remember that it's never too late to pay tribute to the men and women who answered the call of duty with courage and valor. And whereas let us renew our commitment to the fullest possible accounting for those who have not returned, and whereas throughout this commemoration let us strive to live up to their example by showing our Vietnam veterans, their families, and all who served their fullest respect and support of a grateful nation. And whereas, as residents of the city of Zion, we must never forget the sacrifice of the men and women who fought in the name of freedom and democracy. And now, therefore, I, Billy McKinney, Mayor of the City of Zion, do hereby call upon all citizens to observe and recognize March 29th, 2023 as Vietnam Veterans Day in honor of those who served, dated this 7th day of March 2023. Is there a motion to accept this proclamation?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fisher, second by Frierson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 8, considering passing ordinance as follows. A, abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2021 and to pay the principal of and interest on $3,140,000 taxable general obligation refunding bonds, alternate revenue source, Series 2017 of the City of Zion, Lake County, Illinois, per Director Conway.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. What this ordinance does is abates our tax levy for those bonds. Just a little history. Bonds are secured like a mortgage. Your house is the collateral. In a bond situation, our tax levy is the collateral. If we choose to use our alternate revenue streams, which we will do, you have to abate it or it will appear on our tax levy and show up on resident real estate tax bills. That's what this ordinance is going to do.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Frierson,
Second.
second by Holmes, or are there any questions? No? Then, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 9, discussion authorization approval. A, consider a request to hire the next 2 qualified candidates from the Police and Fire Commission, patrol officer eligibility list per Chief Barton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Officer Barber has provided in writing his intention to retire effective May 3rd of 2023. The Board of Fire and Police Commissioners has released the final eligibility list for this testing cycle for a new officer hire. The appointment of a new officer will replace the position of Officer Barber that Officer Barber is vacating. I respectfully request this council approve the hiring of the next 2 qualified candidates effective April 3rd of 2023. These hires will bring the department to full staffing.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Frierson.
Second.
Second.
Any questions or comments for Chief Barber? How long has Mr. Barber been on the force?
20 years. He will hit his 20-year mark May 3rd.
All right. Any additional questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 10, departmental commentary. Director Ianson.
Thank you, sir. Just going to mention tonight, we're now taking employment applications for our seasonal lawn crew. We have one position for a working supervisor, and we'll have 2 and possibly 3 positions for the lawn crew. So I recommend they get online, fill out an application, or stop by City Hall in person and drop it off. So we hope to have some crew hired in the next few weeks.
And Director Ianson, what are the age limit for applicants?
For the supervisor, they have to be 18 or older, and you could be as young as 16 for the lawn crew.
With this, will we work with the school systems to see if they have any interested students at the high school?
All the information's been sent to the schools, the college, UTech, everybody's got the information.
All right, great. Any other questions for Director Ianson? Thank you, Director. Director Roberts?
Thanks, sir. As everybody's seen, the seasons are starting to change. The roads, even though the winter has not been too bad, the roads have still created quite a bit of havoc out there as far as potholes. We're still in that mid-time frame where we're not really filling any potholes unless they're really deep. However, we still encourage residents to continue to call the desk at Public Works, and we're starting a list for that. We're anticipating the hot mix plants opening up around April 15th, and then we will start full-fledged patching of all the roads.
All right. Thank you for that April 15th date. I was doing some walking this past week, and one of the residents was talking about the main break that happened on 28th and Gilboa. And I told them about the patching program, but now that I have the date, I can update them on that, so thank you for that. Chief Street.
Good evening. Oh, yes.
One more, Director Roberts, just one other, as we're talking about I know. Just doing a time warp rewind. One of the issues we had with our last rainstorm was your crew had to do a lot with getting leaves out of the drains, and it caused some flooding. How can our residents help us in this regard? Not only with the leaves, but the debris that gets into the drains.
Well, it's actually pretty simple, just kind of raking off those catch basins. We have an 8-man crew that goes out, and we started early that morning on that heavy storm because we knew it was going to be bad. Typically, your first heavy rains in spring will bring that because all the debris over the winter congregates out there, and then it fills those up. So we're continually going around raking that. But as you know, with heavy rains, that water is flowing pretty heavy. So we could rake it, go down the block, and it's filled back up. So the residents can help out just by just going out there and raking it over.
It really speaks to the issue of when we have the leave program, the pickup leave program, that our residents do not rake the street, the leaves into the street, but they're on the parkway.
Yes, and that's a big issue, especially the contractors out there. That a lot of the landscapers, they like blowing those leaves right into the street. We don't have a program that sweeps those up. Our sweeper, we have one sweeper, and the more leaves out there, the less streets he's able to sweep at that period of time. And this last leaf season, they seem to drop all at once, which created a lot of drop.
And earlier.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Director Roberts. Chief Street.
Just recollect my thoughts after that false alarm, but that's okay. No problem. Well, good evening.
Let's not try that again.
Good evening, everybody. Couple of quick things. First, regarding Mary Lou's ESDA report, I just wanted to kind of point out, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, she always does. But out of the 4 fires that we did have in February, I believe she was the only one that came out for all 4 responses to help our crews. Very admirable. One was at 2:30 on a Thursday morning, one 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning. The others, I think, were more normal times. But thank you to Mary, specifically to Mary Lou, but also ESDA for volunteering their time on those scenes. Worth pointing out. Secondly, a little heavier topic. Chief Barden actually might also tag team this discussion a little bit with me, but over the past few weeks, maybe more, we have responded on a higher number of overdose calls than perhaps in the last few years. Multiple have unfortunately resulted in fatalities as well. So the problem seems to be creeping back up with opioids and drugs, and there also seems to be some bad stuff out there. So number one, we're asking residents and visitors to not take drugs and watch themselves. But in partnership with the Lake County Health Department, they've recognized that the problem exists and they're trying to help the problem as well. So while we do not condone illegal drug use, we have partnered with Lake County Health Department to provide Narcan to anybody who asks for it. This is Narcan, for those of you who don't know, is can reverse certain opioid overdoses. This is a nasal spray that anybody can do. Again, we don't like potentially having to give this out, but if it could help save a life, then it's perhaps worth it. The library has some of this. We're going to help distribute it to other public areas. We'll advertise it, of course, on our social media pages that we have it available. But really, no questions asked. If somebody wants to take some Narcan home, so if their family member has a problem they're dealing with or struggling with, we'll give it right to them. So that's just a brief overview of why we have it and the partnership we have with Lake County Health Department. Of course, it's a sad story to even have to be discussing it, but again, if we can help somebody save a life, we're all for that.
Yeah. Chief, I know working with the Lake County Health Department, how closely do we work with NCASA? Because I know that they deal with all kind of addictions, whether it's gambling addictions, drinking, otherwise.
I would say the partnership is strong. The police department has that partnership as well. Many times we end up seeing that referral occur from the hospital setting. You know, if we're transporting somebody with an issue like that, they'll be referred from the hospital. But we also do receive visits from NCASA staff, health department staff, who make sure that we're aware of the resources that we can help those referrals with as well. So the relationship there is good as well.
Yeah, I was at a Lake County Community Housing Development Commission last weekend. One of the representatives from NCASA was there talking, asking our help as municipalities to be able to refer our residents to their link. And I'll send something that was sent to me to be able to help with any kind of addiction problem that we have during the mental health crisis we've been having since the onset of the pandemic.
Yeah, we do have little referral cards, both NCASA and the health department mental health specialists on our ambulances that we give out routinely to those who we come in contact with.
Okay, thank you. Chief Barton.
Good evening, Mayor, again. Thank you. I will piggyback on that. That was actually, we didn't coordinate this, but that was what I was going to talk about tonight as well. I have three quick things. As far as this drug overdose fatalities, we've had, over the last couple of weeks, we've had 3 fatalities, which is very concerning. As we've seen, we don't know what's out there, where people are getting it. We have partnered with a couple agencies. One example is NERCO. Dr. Mary Roberson out of Waukegan has a program. We've worked with her and we've provided her with some information, and they are going to do a bit of a grassroots campaign, going door to door in the areas and the neighborhoods where we're seeing an influx in overdoses and then overdose fatalities. And they will be doing a campaign that will provide both education and Narcan, as the chief said. No questions asked, free, here you go. Just want to explain to you what the problems and dangers are. While we are not condoning the use of illicit drugs, we want to make sure that we are doing the best we can to provide the information and make sure people are safe, and if something goes awry, that they can have some possibility of life if it does go badly. So that's good, and NERCO is going to, they've promised to do an education campaign as well, so they're gonna be working with the schools, the library, and then the police department, where we will be hosting at those locations educational seminars for people to come in and just understand what the dangers of these drugs are, how they can get help. And then recently we posted on our Facebook page, we'll do the same thing with these seminars, is just guidance on like Narcotics Anonymous or intervention where people can seek out some help. So, but interesting that he brought that, because we didn't talk about this before this, but that's what I want to talk about as well. Two other quick things. One was building department talks about the summer work program. I would encourage people, if you have family, friends, whatever. I did that. We must have changed the ages, because I was 13 when I started working for the city with that program. But 13 and 14, we got to start doing that stuff, and that was a really good program as a young youth, and got a lot of experience and exposure, and you make a little bit of money, and it was good to learn how to start managing that. And then the last thing was just a quick cleanup to a comment made in public comment regarding the possible child abduction. I wanted to clean that up because we did respond to a possible child abduction call. We worked very quickly on that, and we worked with the school districts that were involved. I will say that we utilized our technology to help us bring that to a very quick conclusion, and learned actually it was not a child abduction. It was actually a concerned citizen that was looking out for the betterment of a child that they thought was a little bit too young to get off of the bus and didn't see a parent or guardian nearby, and wanted to ensure that that child was going home safely. We made contact with that person. So that was a thing that circulated on social media, but we put that to rest very quickly. We worked very closely with Jim McKay and George Zimmer, they're the interim superintendents of District 6. We have SROs in that district, so all of that information and communication was had very quickly, and that good citizen, good Samaritan, is a resident of Zion, is a business owner in Waukegan, and was simply concerned for the health and welfare of that child. So.
Right. Chief Barton, one question. You talked about technology. Have we made any headway with the additional flock cameras that we've been looking to get throughout the city?
So yes, actually, IDOT has gotten through the permitting process for us for our cameras that we had initially located on Sheridan Road, and Lake County DOT has also waived the permit fees and process. That process has been approved for our cameras on the county roads. Additionally, we've contracted with Flock to work on gunshot detection, and we have been back and forth on mapping on that location, and they will be, if they aren't already installing things any day now. I think they're waiting on the weather to break, because they probably have to poke holes in the ground, but yep.
Just could you give a kind of a brief description of what the flock cameras do and how they help resolve crimes in the area, and what they've done for you to catch people that have committed crimes throughout the city?
Sure, and it's not always, I guess it's not always about catching the criminal. It's also probably, in this case, we used our flock cameras in this possible child abduction, which led us to find very quickly that it wasn't a child abduction. So it's the reverse of crime, right? We were finding out that it wasn't actually a crime, and that people don't need to be freaked out and panicked because there's a child abductor on the loose, kind of a thing. We have used our flock cameras over and over and over again, and I actually sent a message to our superintendent 1/26 tonight. I believe, in my opinion, and I think there's other chiefs in this county that would share the sentiment, is that this is probably the #1 technology in the last 20 years that I've seen in law enforcement that has helped us do our job effectively, quickly, without overextending the long arm of the law. It's not utilized for anything other than crime intervention. When we have a case that comes up, we can identify those offenders very quickly. We've solved multiple homicides, not just in our town, but also in other communities as well, from just simple technology of a license plate reader.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Director Conway.
Mayor, Commissioners, I don't have much. We have vehicle stickers are ordered. The Council and Finance staff picked blue, so that's what we'll have this year. And Monday, April 3rd, they'll go on sale.
With these city stickers, what are the rates for seniors? I was asked this question by a resident. Rates for seniors, and if there are two seniors in a home and they have two cars, they both get the discount.
This one's
Half off. Well, depending on age, you get one, I think it's over 65 is half off, and over 70 it's free. I won't point out which one you qualify for, Mayor, but I'm sure Director Roberts would have an opinion on that. Wow. But, and that would, I believe that, I won't say that qualifies for both residents. I'd have to review the code on that one for both residents residing in a household. But if they bring in proof of residence, I believe that they would both be, if there's more than one vehicle, they would both be eligible for that discount. One per resident that meets those thresholds.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I hope that's right.
sure.
All right.
We changed it a little while ago to try and do those discounts, so I'm hoping I'm not going by the old tables, but all that information is on our website.
All right,
And there is a military discount as well. You just need to make sure you provide your military ID.
okay, all right. Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I kind of want to piggyback on something Chief Barden said before I get to my other item. And if you've been here at other meetings, you've heard me talk about social media, and it can be great. Maybe I'm just getting older and I'm finding that it seems to cause more problems and drama than it needs to be. But just be aware of what you see on there. It's amazing the confidence that people have in sharing information that is inaccurate, that they just want to be first or to be able to say something. We are always available for questions through email, phone calls, ways to get a hold of city staff, even commissioners. It's all on our website. If you have questions about an issue, rather than spreading information online that is inaccurate and causing panic, get the actual facts from us. We'll share it when we can, obviously, with police investigations and things like that. We can be limited privacy information, but don't always believe what you see on there. So we've seen it cause a lot more heartburn for people than sometimes it benefits.
Sort of like Fox News.
One press release that came out that was very timely today, just released today, a bit of good news that I wanted to share is there was a press release from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity as it relates to, Sharon was talking about CEJA Act today. I've given updates in the past that we were written into there separate from some of their other grant programs, specifically for Zion, for the decommissioning power plant, the waste that we have on our shores. So I'm just going to read some quick excerpts from this. Governor Pritzker and the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity today, March 7th, announced more than 50 localities and municipal entities will receive Energy Transition Community Grants, an initiative under the CEJA Act that provides for funding for communities that have been impacted by fossil fuel plant or coal mine closures or significant reductions. The $40 million program was designed to meet the needs of individual localities by addressing the economic and social impacts of plant closures. Agreements are anticipated to be executed starting in July of 23, with $40 million available per year for the Energy Transition Grant Program until 2045. The award list includes Zion Nuclear Plant taxing bodies, which is allocated funding according to a statutory formula in CEJA. The grant amount specified below will be available for Zion Nuclear Plant taxing bodies to apply through an upcoming separate Notice of Funding Opportunity process, a NOFO. We should be getting that in about 2 weeks. Grant awards were calculated based on the economic impact of plant or mine closures, specifically property tax losses and jobs lost due to the plant transition. Since this is a quote from State Rep Joyce Mason, Since taking office in 2019, ensuring that the Zion community was compensated for the storage of stranded nuclear materials on their shoreline, along with providing property tax relief for their residents, has been a top priority for me. I'm ecstatic that we were able to make this happen, and I'm excited to see how this new funding will revitalize the community over time. Little horn tooting here, but I'm grateful to Mayor McKinney and David Nabel for their hard work and partnership. There's a whole list here of the communities that applied for the grant. We didn't have to apply for the grant because we were already written into the act. Our allocation that was posted in this was $136,793. So that is years of work that is resulting in $14 million annually that we are shooting for the compensation for the spent fuel on our lake shores. Before anyone spends that, or I was hesitant to start talking about this because until that money's in hand, until it's here, we don't have it. And DECO is still working on the provisions and the grant process, and we're working through how those funds, if they put restrictions on those funds for how it has to be used, how it has to be implemented, what the application process is, and then the timing of when those funds are released. Like I said in prior meetings, we had the JAFA grant from 3 years old that we just received the funding on finally. Stuff takes time. So I'll keep you updated as we go forward. But this was a huge step for them to publicly acknowledge that they are following through with the legislation they passed on our behalf.
That is absolutely terrific news. I know we've been kind of telling people about that as they've been asking about what we've accomplished over the last 4 years. So thank you for all the hard work and everyone that's been associated with our state reps in sitting down and talking to us and telling them about what our issues have been with the nuclear plant. Of course, we're supposed to get that kind of money from the Nuclear Waste Act of 1982, and we are still fighting very hard and working through issues with the federal government to make sure that we get that money. So thank you for that great news, David. Commissioner McDowell, any?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right. Commissioner Frierson?
Nothing.
Commissioner Holmes?
No, nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right. Commissioner Fisher?
Early voting's coming up. What's the date that we open early voting here at City Hall? Do we know, Madam Clerk, when that is?
March 20th.
March 20th.
Yes.
So, yes, so get your voting out of the way early. So that would be my comment for tonight.
All right. I'll go into announcement. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. Announcements on March 21st at 6 o'clock. The Zion Township Board meeting has been canceled due to early voting here at the City of Zion City Hall. And also the 7 o'clock City Council meeting has been canceled due to early voting. That is mandated by the county. We're glad to be an early voting site. If people want to vote in the upcoming election before we open here for early voting, they can go down to the Lake County Courthouse building on, I want to say it's 18 North County Street in Waukegan. Thank you. I was just checking to see if you're all alert. Early voting, get out and cast your vote. And I'll say this about voting, and you look at the history of voting, and even now with some of the states that are trying to restrict voting rights, there are a lot of people that sacrificed a lot, including their lives, to give people the right to vote. So get out and vote, please. Starts March 20th here at Zion City Hall. April 4th, moving into April already, 7 p.m. there will be a Zion City Council meeting. And on April 7th, the city offices are closed for the holiday. Item number 12, closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120-2 open meeting for the discussion of file pending and or probable or imminent litigation, sale or purchase of real estate, collective bargaining, legal counsel, and personnel. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fisher. Second by Frierson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Seizure.